Last week, we reviewed how to install and set up a fantastic piece of software called Twidget. You can see that video right here. Basically, what it allows you to do is it shows you all the comments that are coming in during your live stream, and you can select one individually. When you do, that comment comes up into view, and then you can address that comment live. Now, what this does psychologically to your audience is that they're going to want to try to come up as the lower third, so you get better quality comments and you get more comments, which increases engagement and makes that video surface higher in the YouTube search stack. So after having a talk with a developer, his name is Zach, super cool guy, I learned that he has set up the ability to modify how that lower third looks in your live stream with the use of cascading styles. It's that code that web developers use to make websites look nice, right? So what I'm going to do now is review all the capability that CSS can modify in regards to font type, text size, text shadow, text color, text spacing, backgrounds, background shadow, background border, adding imagery to your background, and finally we're going to dig into animations. That means that the whole lower third can slide into view, left or right, can fade in, can do this bouncy stuff. And we're going to animate the text as well. I cannot wait to show you. This is going to be fun. Let's get some.
Electrify
Your online presence with live streaming. This video has 3 parts. We're going to review how to set up how you can see the changes as you make them in cascading styles. That's part 1. Number 2, I'm going to give you a quick lesson and review of cascading styles so you get a global perspective on what's going on. And then the 3rd part's the blood and guts of the video. That's where we're going to go through each and every parameter that shows you how to make specific changes. I'm going to have this video chapterized for you so you can come back to the video and get that very specific piece of information that you need down the road. Also, I will provide links to various websites that help you make the cascading style. Some of the stuff is pretty intense, and having a website do it for you is absolutely fantastico. Let's get started. So we're going to set up the environment that will allow you to see the changes you make to the cascading styles on the fly. So here we are in OBS Studio. I'm in the Twidget scene, and I've created a browser source. All you have to do is click the plus sign, select browser, right? I've already done that. And I've named it comment browser source. So if I double click this and go into properties, the most important thing that you must do initially is add the URL right here. And all this is a reference to your computer. There's a website that resides on your computer called /source. Plop that in there, add the width and height, whatever you want, doesn't matter, and you're good to go. I'll hit OK here. You may or may not see Twidget active waiting for chat. At this point, all you have to do is go into your search bar in the lower left-hand corner and type in Twidget, Twidget, and assuming that you installed it from the previous video, link in the description, click open, and it will open up Twidget. The next thing that you have to do is actually start up a live stream at YouTube. So we're going to do that right now. Go into my YouTube. I'll hit the plus sign here under Create, Go Live. At this point, the system is creating a place on the internet where this live stream will reside. That's what we want. I want to click the Edit button. We do not want to go live because we're developing the look and feel of the lower third, so we don't want the general public to be aware of this. So we want to make the visibility unlisted. Already did that, so I'll just cancel out of there because I've already selected it. At this point, all we have to do is connect your YouTube account to OBS Studio. So copy the stream key, go back into OBS, select Settings, go into Stream, use Stream Key Advanced, and paste that sucker right in there. Hit Apply and OK. Start stream. It will connect. You'll get a green square when the connection is made. Okay, and now all we have to do is get the link to where the live stream resides. That's super easy. Go back to the interface at YouTube Studio, click the little arrow key that points towards End Stream button here, upper right corner, opens up a window, hit the copy icon here next to the URL. That copies it into your computer's cache. Go back to Twidget, click the Start button, and it's asking for that URL right here at the top. I'll paste it right in and hit Connect. And it begins to load. When the loading text goes away dead center on the screen, you are connected. So now we'll go back to the live stream interface on YouTube again, close out of that window, and I'm going to begin making some comments. Now, again, this is not live. It's unlisted. It won't show up on your YouTube homepage or anything like that. No one will see this, so you are safe. And here's where I begin to put in some text for my comments. I'm going to put 4 in. These are all shout-outs to my homies who have made comments on my videos. This is almost, this is almost 200 characters. The total character allowed amount is 200 letters, and so I'm going to paste in a bunch of these. It's a good idea to try to put in comments that are close to 200 characters because you want to see the effect of lots of characters on your design. So it's a good idea to make the maximum amount of text for your comments. So these are all shout-outs here. I'll put them in one by one. Okay, so when I go back to Twidget, I should see them all, and there they all are. And upon me selecting the select button, that'll shoot it over to OBS Studio. At this point, you can disconnect the stream. I'm going to click End Stream, and go back into OBS, go into Stop Stream on the lower right-hand corner. And now that I am disconnected, I can go back into the Twidget box here and select the message, and lo and behold, there it is. So you don't have to be connected to a live stream in order for this system to work, but you do have to connect to initially load Twidget with comments. Now, the next part, super easy. Go into the little icon here on the right next to Live Chat Replay and scroll down and make sure that you have selected the clean design. You must select this in order to make changes to the CSS. If you select any of these other ones, it will not work. The CSS that you place into the browser source will not take effect. It must be clean. Okay, moving on. Let's review some of the CSS. We have a message class, and between the two curly brackets, we have all the parameters that control the color and the size and the font and the padding and all that stuff. The /*, */, everything between those two declarations gets turned off in live view, but you still can see the code in the code view, which is great. So you can turn stuff on and off by using those characters. Then we have something called explanation important semicolon. If you add that to the end of a parameter, it will possibly brute force it and make it work if you're having trouble showing the effect for some reason. Sometimes you can add that and it will work. And then finally, if you add 2 parameters that are the same, the question is which one gets read, and what happens is the system will read the one at the bottom. So in this case, the green would be applied to the HTML that has the message class. Let me show you what the CSS override controls look like in the browser source. So I'll click the comment browser source, I'll double click it, brings open this page, it shows you the parameters. I'm going to grab this lower dark side here and drag it all the way up so we can see the custom CSS override field. So you'll notice that I have these headers or titles that are put to sleep with the /*, and I've done this so that you understand the parts of the CSS to control the various elements. For example, this stuff is how you declare the Google fonts to use in all the CSS. Then we have a section that applies to all the control to the image on the left, the channel image here. So if you take a look, I'm talking about that shot of my face next to my name. That controls all that stuff. Then we have the text, name, and message. So all this stuff controls that. Keep on going down. We've got a bunch of CSS that controls the background container, and you'll notice that I have some other extra references to websites that provide an easy way to create the necessary CSS parameters. Some of them are fairly intense to make specific types of effects like drop shadow and gradient backgrounds, all kinds of cool stuff. We'll review those as fast as possible for you. And as we scroll down, I've also have a section here that defines the ability to add motion to the various elements like the background, like the text, and even the channel image. So I'm going to explain that as well. Okay, we're going to change the font for both the name and the comment. So let's go into the browser source. I'll double click it. We'll go into the window. I'll make this parameter window much larger so we can see what's going on here. And the first thing you see is the Google font data calls. I'm going to highlight the address to Google Fonts and copy it, and I'll go into a browser window here, paste it in, and we are in Google Fonts. So I'm going to scroll down and find something super dramatic here so that we can see the effect of it. I'm going to use Pushter, and I'll hit the select this style. I will go back to fonts again, scroll down and find something else that's kind of funky. Let's see, blah, blah, blah. Here we go. Babus Nueve or whatever that's called. I'll hit that and we'll select that font. Okay, on the right here, select the at input and we are going to highlight everything between the style declaration, okay? And we'll copy that and I'll go back into OBS and I'm going to paste that right at the top here. All right, so we've got two fonts being called in one at input URL string, which is great. So now what we're going to do is scroll down at Google again, and we've got these two font families. See this? So I'm going to want the name to use the Pushter font. So I'm going to grab that lower code here. It says font family Pushter. I'll copy that, go back into OBS, scroll down till I get to the text name and message area here. And in the name, there is a font family already defined as Pushter. And I'll just paste that in and make sure it's there. And scroll down for message. It looks like it has a font family for Pushter too, but I don't want to use that. I want to use this Babus font. So I'll highlight font family Babus over at Google, copy, go back into OBS, highlight that declaration for message, and paste. And then I will hit OK. And look at that. It changed the font, no problem. Let's talk about capitalization, size, and color for both the message and the name. So we'll go over to the name here. You'll see that the font size is currently at 40 pixels. And as you can see, I had to use the important declaration to make it take place. So you can increase this as high as low as you wish in regards to the size. Also, you'll notice that I have a text-transform uppercase is commented out. If I turn this off so that it can be seen on the front end here, I'll turn it off and I hit OK. See what happens? It's all uppercase because of that declaration. So I'll go back to properties here and show you. For the name, I now uppercased that text. But in most cases, you're going to want to use the capitalization that you set when you made your channel name. So that's why I turned it off from view here. So I'm going to turn that back off. But you can use uppercase, you can use capitalization, and you can use lowercase. But I think in most cases, you want to turn that off. Finally, color. It will accept typing in an actual color name. So if I typed in green and hit OK, it would work. See, the name is green. It's a dark green. If I want more control over the color, I have a website that's perfect for that. So if I scroll down here, you'll see I have Hex Color Picker. If I highlight that URL and copy it into a browser tab here, it takes you to this page. And you have all these different selections you can make, but I don't like using this as much as I love using the spectrum selector, and it gives you all available colors, and all you need to do is drag it around, and then you can basically select the hex color down here. This is what's called a hex color, so I'll copy that, go back in, and I'll change the color from green to this pound sign and then these 6 characters, right? I'll do it for both. I'll do it for the message as well down here. And I'll hit OK, and everything should be purple. There it is. Awesome. Let's take a look at padding, which is the spacing of the text within the container showing that blue animation. You're going to see padding look like this: 0px, 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 and then another 0px. Basically what this is doing is adding the amount of pixels for top, right, bottom, left. You got to remember that. Top, right, bottom, left. Top, right, bottom, left. So if we go back into OBS real quick here, and I'll show you the name here, has the top, right, bottom, left set up, but it's been put to sleep because we really don't need to adjust the spacing per se. But in the message, it looks like I added 20 pixels to the left and 5 pixels to the bottom. Top, right, bottom, left, right? So I'm going to put 44 pixels on the bottom. We'll hit OK, and let's see what it does. See how it makes the bottom way taller? So that's how you adjust spacing left or right, top and bottom for the text. Cool. I've noticed that when I read the text under my name with that dark blue undulating motion graphic, it's a little bit hard to read, so I want to add just a tad of a black shadow behind the text. And I have a website that will help you accomplish this. Let's go into the code and let's expand the window here and scroll down, and you'll see under the text and name message here that there is a text drop shadow maker. So if I highlight this link here, it'll take me to a really cool website. I'll go into my browser and add that link in there. It'll take me to this site, and what I can do is I can make adjustments to the kind of effect that I want. So if I shift the shadow down underneath this word preview and bring it to, I guess I'll want a 0, 0. That way the color's, centered perfectly underneath the text. Then I'll click the hex maker here and drag down the color bar here to black. And there's the effect. It looks like I want to increase the blur. There we go. That's what I'm looking for. Sort of like a black haze around the text. And there at the bottom right here, it gives me the code that I want. So all I have to do is highlight it, copy it, go back into OBS Studio, scroll down under the message here, and I'll just place it right here, hit OK. And now the text has a very subtle black background that still allows you to see the animation in the back, which is cool. So it's readable, but yet you can still see the animation. Let's take a look at the channel icon. We've got some parameters that we can play with. Scroll down until you see the channel image on left header here, and you'll see one called "This shows the channel icon." It's .pfp class, and you'll see one that says border 3px solid red. So naturally 3px represents the thickness of the line around the channel icon. Then we have solid. If you can change it to the dotted or whatever, nobody's going to want to do that. 9 times out of 10 you want to keep it as solid. And then we have the color, and yes, you can use hex colors here. So if I hit the pound sign and hit F0F, I think I'm going to get green, I believe. Below it is the border radius. Currently it's set to 30. That's how you get the circular shape of it. If I take this and make it, I'll say 10, I should get a more square shape with rounded corners. And this is some adjustments to where it's moving in regards to margin. I had some difficulty with moving it. I found that margin did the best motion, so you can play with that as well. So let's take a look at those changes right now and see how it worked out. Yep. Oh, that's right. I changed it to purple. So you can see that you can see more of my image. And so you can play with that until your heart's content. I have to tell you that I had difficulty making the image larger. I couldn't seem to figure that out. Maybe Zach could chime in and help us understand how to make it larger. Twidget, as a default, places a YouTube logo over the layer that shows the channel image. I personally felt that that was really not necessary because I'm very concerned about making sure that the viewer gets all the recognition they deserve. Let me show you what it looks like. Currently, if you go to PF logo under the channel image on left section, I have it as display none, and I have it exclamation important semicolon. So basically I'm saying I want you to turn this off. But if I put this command to sleep here and hit OK, you'll see it pop up. And as you can see, I was having difficulty with placement, and so I just said, I'm not going to worry about placement. I will just turn it off. Okay, let's change the background color of the container that contains the whole thing. We'll scroll down all the way towards the bottom here, and there's a section called container/background. And I'm going to put my cursor right here and hit the tab key. I'm going to type in the word background dash color colon, whoop, and then type the word in black and then semicolon. And let's see if it makes the color black. Yeah, it does. Cool. Kind of boring, but it does the job. So if I want to make this semi-transparent, I've got a solution. So if we go back in, scroll back down again, and there is something called Color Picker with Transparency. I'm going to highlight that URL, copy it, and I'm going to go into the browser, paste that in there, and it gives me this HSL Color Picker. So let's take this slider that's the darkness here, and I'll make it all the way black, and then I'm going to take this cursor that designates the transparency and make it about 50%. And then I'm going to highlight this RGBA code here, copy that. Then we'll go back into the styles, and I'm gonna just highlight the black and paste that new code in there, and make sure there's a semicolon at the end. Hit OK. And look at that. It makes a semi-transparent black color. Now I'm going to show you how to add an animated GIF as a background for your container. So go into the container background section, highlight the last 3 lines in the notes here, and paste this into the style. Make sure that the tabbing is correct here because it makes it nice and clean. And then I'm going to go into Giphy, and I'll type in the word space background. You can search anything you want. It's a good idea to use the word background in your search though. And I'll scroll down, look for something cool. All right, this looks cool. I'll click this, and this is like some weird undulating space background, I guess. I'll hit Save, Image As, and I will name it Space. And then I'm going to go into a website called Catbox. And this is a free hosting site where you can just upload images and reference it anytime you want. I'll select or drop files, and I'll put that space file in there that I downloaded to my hard drive. Hit Open. Drops it in. It's 9 megabytes in size, and it gives you a link to the graphic. So I'll copy it by clicking that field right there, go back into OBS, and I will add it right where this w3css.gif reference is. I'll just paste that link right over top of that, and then I'm going to get rid of all the / and asterisks that hide this code. I'm going to unhide it all, these 3 lines. Then I'll hit OK. Look at that. I mean, it's kind of like, what the hell? But it still looks pretty cool. It just gives you a concept so that you can apply any kind of GIF or graphic that you want. So you can put in GIFs, motion GIFs, JPEGs, anything that you want. I don't think it's going to work with MP4s or actual video files. I don't think. You can try it and see. But I just want to make sure you understand how to get this concept down. Let's add some box shadow to the container so it looks pretty slick. Let's go back in, and what we'll do is we'll copy the link called Box Drop Shadow Maker. Highlight that URL, copy it, go into the browser, paste it into the URL field, and look, it's that same site as before that we got the text shadow with, but the boxed shadow selector is on in the navigation. So we'll make our adjustments, and I'll turn the blur up a little bit here and just drop this off like that. Looks good. Spread decent. Okay, I like it. And I'm going to highlight this code right here at the bottom, box shadow, and we'll paste that into OBS right there. That looks good. Let's hit OK. Take a view, and it looks funky. Why? It's because the container is pressed all the way up to the sides of the bounding box, and the shadow gets cut off. So we've got to create some space between the container and the bounding box somehow. So the best way to do that is go back into the code here and scroll back down to the section, and we're going to type in the following. Tab, and then the word margin, M-A-R-G-I-N, colon, and then we're going to type in a number of amount of pixels that will be the margin. I'm going to type in 30px. Now this is similar to what we did with padding, except this time we've only added one amount of pixels, 30 pixels. We didn't add 30, 30, 30, 30. If you add just 30px, that means top, right, bottom, left all have the same amount of 30. So it's just a fast way of entering that amount. So keep that in mind. Now we'll hit OK. Yep, it looks great. We can see the shadow on the bottom and on the right as planned, so it looks pretty slick. I also want to make you aware that there is a border left declaration that's set to 0. That's because the original design has a border left set to, I think, like 11. So that turns that off. If you turn on the border parameter here, if you turn that on, you get rid of these, / asterisk and just go with border 11. That'll make a nice fat border around the outer edge, and you can change the thickness of it by modifying the 11 here or the color with this hex color here. Also, we have of course, the radius as well, so you can modify the curves on the outer edges. If you don't want any radius, just set it to 0 and it will be a square. Okay, now we're finally at the animations, and I want to tell you from the bottom of my heart, I appreciate you for sticking with me this long. Holy cow, I know this is a long video. So you will now get the best of the best part of this whole thing, which is the animations, okay? So what I've done is I've added a parameter to a couple of the elements here. So the channel icon, which is this PFP class here, has an animation channel icon 3-second ease right there set up. If we scroll down, we've got another one for the name. We've got an animation called animation name, it also has a 3-second ease in. And then the message has a 2-second ease. And when we scroll down to the container that contains the whole thing, we've got a 1-second ease, okay? I failed to mention that if you make modifications to the seconds with the easing, you are modifying when the animation comes into view. So each one of these has their own animation name. And if we scroll all the way down to the animation section, we've got animations declared for the animated container, channel icon, the animated name here, and the animated message. 4 elements, okay, which is pretty cool. The question of the day is, where do you get this wicked cool animation CSS to power this stuff? Well, I have found a whole bunch of killer code that does everything that we need. Unfortunately, we don't have the power to animate when the container leaves. We only have the power to animate when it comes into view, which is fine. I just want to make sure you understand that. And the place to get the code is this text file that I uploaded to Catbox, located right here. You are the only one who knows of this location. This is some badass code, let me tell you. Here it is. So if you want to fade in with no motion, you can copy this code, right? Go into OBS. And for the container, we can just fade it in. I'll just highlight both curly brackets and paste it in there. So at this point, the container will fade in without any animation. Then I can go down and go to, let's say, let's go to the channel icon here. Let's see. Here we go, channel icon. It's already got something in there. But I'm going to scroll down and look for something cool. Here's a bounce in from center. So I'll highlight this code. Make sure I get it all. And I will paste it in there. Let's see. Make sure I copy from curly bracket to curly bracket. And hit OK. And let's see what happens. Fade in. And we did get a bounce. Let's see that again one more time. Let's go into Twidget here and select a different message. Yeah, the channel image is bouncing. We got to get rid of that YouTube icon real quick. It's bouncing. It's not super prevalent, but it is bouncing. Let's do a bounce for the container. Let's see what that looks like. So I'll go back into the text here. And let's see. I know there's one that's really cool. Okay. Fade rotate on horizontal axis. This is badass. Okay. We'll highlight this code here. All right. Copy it. We'll go back in. And double click into properties, make this bigger, scroll down, and go to we're going to go to the container and paste this badass code in there. Hit OK. Oh yeah, that's cool. It's sort of like hinges on a horizontal axis. Yeah, I dig that. That is pretty cool. Let's see that again. I'll go back and select a different message. Yeah, dude, that is cool. See, that is pretty tricky. You have to admit, that is trick. So that's basically the tip of the iceberg. There is way more CSS that can do so much more stuff that it is absolutely mind-boggling. If you want to see the video that started this video, click this link right here, and below I'm going to have a video that discusses how to style YouTube comments that come in all the time. So I will see you over there. Best wishes, stay strong, and keep fighting. Yeah.